This experience takes place during the Iran-Iraq War that occurred between 1980 and 1988. It was at the beginning of the Bait al-Muqaddas operation. In the south of Iran, on the Karam-Sharawaz Road, we were on defense duty in the afternoon around 3 to 4 o'clock. The enemy launched a heavy counterattack and tried to take control of the area from us. Although it wasn't my responsibility to shoot with RPGs, I knew how to operate one. When the enemy tanks advanced towards us, I targeted and destroyed 2 or 3 tanks with RPGs. I then targeted the 4th tank. The Iraqi forces had cowardly taken refuge behind their tanks and were firing many rounds towards us from behind the tanks. Numerous bullets were passing by my ears. I saw the person who was shooting at me very close to me, perhaps within 20 meters. I even felt the shockwave of the explosion when the RPG hit the 4th tank I targeted. Immediately after I fired and hit the tank, a bullet struck me in the head. The cameraman who was filming those moments captured the instant of the bullet hitting me while filming. When I saw the shooter, I was still in my body, and my soul had not yet left my body. When the bullet hit my forehead, the world in front of my eyes faded, and I died. In the video, you can see that after I was hit, everyone rushed towards me. The cameraman dropped his camera on the ground and came towards me. After meeting Mr. Tavakoli, who had filmed this video, he said that when he saw me getting shot, he stood up and ran towards me but didn't bring his camera. He saw that my head was injured, and the day we met, he was looking at my head because it was bandaged. When I was shot, I immediately, without any interruption, entered a new space, like when you turn off a lamp and immediately turn it on again. I left my body. I didn't see myself as a physical form. I was more like an identity. I couldn't see my hands and feet, but I was like an eye that was seeing. I was observing my injured body on the ground, and rescuers were looking at me, and my comrades were saying, "He became a martyr." If they were filming at that moment, you would see that my skull was shattered. During World War II, the Russians used the Kalashnikov to wound rather than kill. The Iraqis were using the same weapon, the Kalashnikov. This weapon was designed so that when fired, it would wound one person, allowing 2 others to come and take the wounded person back, so they could then shoot at the remaining 2. Most of those injured by this weapon did not become martyrs unless they had severe bleeding or were shot in sensitive areas. When the bullet is fired from this weapon and hits the target, the bullet head disintegrates, and the molten lead inside it splatters into the person's body. The lead pieces of the bullet had penetrated my brain. Surgeons had opened my forehead and removed things from within my brain. They cleared the debris that was in front of my forehead, but the ones that had penetrated deep into my head were still there. There are 5 pieces of bullet lead in my brain. I have been hit in the head multiple times in battles, around my eye and the back of my neck. I couldn't see the faces and identities of those around me, but I could see that there were people trying to save me. They said there was no need for further efforts, and that I had become a martyr. I was screaming and begging them. I was shouting that I am alive. Save me. I'm fine. I'm breathing. My heart is still beating. Here in this world, when we speak, we hear our own voice. But there, when I shouted, although I felt my voice, I couldn't hear it. I felt like the sound should be audible. I was amazed as to why they couldn't hear my voice. Why couldn't they see me? Why weren't they paying attention to me? They had placed me under a sheet. I was saying do not cover me with the sheet, but they couldn't hear me. They put me aside. They couldn't dedicate their time to me because they were busy fighting the enemy. At that moment when they came to move my body, something happened and a sound came out of my mouth. I meant my body that was wrapped in the sheet. With that sound, people's attention was drawn to me, and they realized that I was still alive. They shouted that he is alive. A medic came and bandaged my head. Just then, an ambulance arrived, and my comrades placed me inside that vehicle. While I was in the car, which hadn't moved yet, one of my comrades was shooting towards the enemy. That rifle had very large bullets, and that gun, due to its large size, was mounted on a car. At that moment, the enemy attacked the vehicle and it exploded. My comrades quickly came and collected the bodies from the ground. They quickly became martyrs, and I didn't see their souls leaving their bodies or speaking with me. They got into the same car where my body was, then the car started moving. I was in that moment saying, "Don't leave these bodies here. I can't breathe." I didn't want harm to come to me. I never thought about leaving this world and going away. I never thought that I would give up living and become a martyr alongside my comrades. The car started moving and a mortar shell was fired at it. The paths of the moving vehicles were covered with dust hills so that the enemy wouldn't see the movement of the vehicles. I felt the car going up the hills and then swerving to the left. Dust was swirling around. Another car passing by stopped, and they placed the bodies behind that car. We arrived at a field hospital. I saw that they left me behind. The doctor who saw me said there was nothing he could do for me. I thought they were supposed to take care of me. One of the women checked my pulse and told the doctor that it was still beating. She said he's still alive. The doctor said his brain had been destroyed. We don't have an operating room here to operate on him. We need to help those we can keep alive. I became extremely angry at the doctor and wanted to hit him. At that moment, a helicopter arrived and landed. I felt that the helicopter had come there. The doctor said, "Bring the wounded quickly." They put the wounded next to me so they could take us inside the helicopter. I had a 360-degree view. I could see everything around me. They transferred me and the wounded to the helicopter. The helicopter took off quickly and flew away. During the flight, I couldn't see anything. After arriving at the hospital, the doctor saw me and said he had become a martyr. Take him to the morgue. I said, "Oh God, why did you create your servants in a way that they think I'm dead?" They came to take me to the morgue. They were touching my body and had determined that my body was warm. The nurses told the doctor that his body is still warm. He has a pulse. He's breathing. Should we take him to the morgue? Are you sure? But the doctor said to take him to the morgue. One person there insisted strongly to the contrary. I feel like God heard my voice. The doctor said to take him to the airport with the ambulance to be dispatched to Tehran. I became happy. I saw this path passing by and accompanied my body. I felt weightless and didn't feel the hardships of the road. When I arrived in Tehran, they prepared me for surgery. It was night. I felt the darkness of the night. I entered another space. I wasn't worried. It was like there was a wall there. There was a door, and from around that door, a green light was emanating. I was moving towards the door. I went towards the door and returned. It was as if I wanted to pass through that door. It was as if the door wanted to open, but I was being forced back. I wasn't worried at all about the surgery, even though I couldn't see my body. I just knew this was a path I was supposed to traverse. I was supposed to pass through this door, and I was moving back and forth. I didn't make any effort to open the door, but I wanted to pass through it. Suddenly everything changed, and my eyes opened in this world. I saw myself in the hospital with my father beside me. I realized that I am alive. This experience is one of the experiences of near-death individuals. Over 100 experiences will be published on this channel. To hear more experiences, subscribe to my YouTube channel.